This video is going to cover the parallel lines and solving angles with them. This is the retake video, so if you have not watched the original video, I would strongly recommend going back and doing that right now. As we talked about with these vocabulary terms on the left, the actual numbers is usually easier to work with than the vocabulary themselves. So don't get too wrapped up in making sure you have it exactly memorized, except I want you to really know corresponding angles, okay? And the reason why we like to memorize corresponding angles is because they're equal. So, for example, if I have angle 1, the corresponding angle to angle 1 would be angle 5, because if angle 1 is in the top left of its parallel line that's being cut by the transversal, angle 5 would also be in the top left of the same thing except on the right. If I wanted to do the corresponding angle for number 6, that would be angle 2, because they're both in the bottom left of their situations. Now, alternate interior angles, the word alternate means opposite, and the interior means inside. So this is the interior of our problem. So if I wanted the alternate interior angle of angle 3, that would be angle 6. And they also then will be equal to each other as well. If I wanted to do the alternate interior angle of angle 4, that would be angle 5. And they would have to be equal to each other. And as you see, as we work through these problems, it turns out a lot of the time, there are many, many different ways to solve it. So alternate exterior, alternate once again meaning opposite, and exterior meaning outside. So this would be the exterior, as would this side as well. So the alternate exterior angles are also equal to each other. Kind of sensing a pattern here. So if I wanted the alternate exterior angle for angle 1, it'd be on the opposite side, but on the outside. So that would be 8. And then if I wanted to do the alternate exterior angle for 7, that would be angle 2. And that means they are also equal to each other. Big keys to remember here when we're talking supplementary, that means angles that add up to 180 degrees. And there are many combinations of that. For example, angles 1 and 2, angles 2 and 4, angles 5 and 6, angles 5 and 7, tons of supplementary. And when we're working with parallel lines, frequently we don't have as much for complementary angles, but just a reminder that those do add up to 90 degrees. But since we're working with a full circle of angles, which add to 360, we do not work with complementary angles very much, but they do still come up once in a while. So let's solve all 7 missing angles from this problem if the 2 lines that I've marked right here are parallel to each other, meaning that this line right here is the transversal. So I'm going to put X, Y, and Z up here and have you try to solve for those angles yourself, and then I'm going to solve for all of them. Angle Z is the one I would solve for first because that is supplementary to 120, meaning this would have to be 60 degrees. The angle down here would then have to be 120, making this angle here also 60 because we have a bunch of combinations of supplementary angles. Therefore, angle Y is corresponding with this angle right here, meaning that that has to be 120 degrees. Angle X is actually vertical although it's also corresponding with the red angle in the bottom left, meaning that has to also be 120 degrees, meaning each of these pieces have to be 60 in order for this to work. As you see here, what you're going to solve on these problems a lot is you're going to be given two parallel lines, a transversal that cuts them, and then you're going to be given one angle, and you'll use that to solve the other 7 angles so that you can get a ton of information using what we've learned here. And our last one. So try to make this one look as weird as possible, but we're going to have parallel lines there and there. I'm going to mark this is angle A, and this is angle B. And we'll see if you can solve for all 7 of the missing angles. So I like to do the vertical angles first, meaning that has to be 105. To solve for this angle, we have to add to 180, which is 75. Be careful there. A lot of people put 85 or 95 just because they're not cautious, making this 75. So I can use that information to go to the left side. This angle right here is corresponding with A, which makes it 105. And this angle here is corresponding with B, making it 75 degrees. And from there, we can solve for the other 2 pieces. And we are done. Like I talked about at the beginning, don't get too wrapped up into all of the vocabulary here, as long as you remember transversal is the line cutting 2 or more parallel lines, and that the corresponding angles are the ones that match the direction of where they are. So top right to top right, bottom left to bottom left. Once you get that, solve for the measures of angles and see what you can do from there. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know.